Hey guys, and welcome back to Yarnum. We're pretty much coming towards the end of our playthrough, and we're in Cainhurst today. It's the last stop before we go back to deal with Gehrman and the Moon Presence, which will make up the final two episodes. But I wanted to quickly stop off and take care of Logarius, who's the last optional boss I didn't actually fight. So I'm going to talk a bit about the lore around Cainhurst, but I'm not going to approach it from a historical point of view. I'm actually going to take care of recent events first and then go back and talk about the origins of Cainhurst, because I'll give you guys a bit more context about the area and how it actually came to be the way it is today. So the first thing you know is that everyone is dead, everyone's been massacred, and obviously that was actually done by the Healing Church and its executioners. Now, why did the Healing Church want to get rid of the Cainhurst nobles? Now, put it like this. Imagine if you're a organization like the Healing Church, which is basically all just about power and control and their own interests, and the basis of your power is your special quote-unquote healing blood, and you're telling the population of the Yarnum that only you have the blood, and the blood comes from your god and your religion, and that's obviously a very powerful way to control people. Now imagine if there's another group of people who also have access to the special kind of blood. That would pretty much put a rather large dent in your church and your religion, because they're obviously claiming that their blood was unique, but there's another group of people who don't care about their religion, aren't affiliated with any way, who also have the same special blood. And obviously, if you're as power hungry as the Healing Church is, you're going to send people after them to stop these guys, because they're basically ruining your entire scam. And so the Healing Church basically made up a reason to attack Cainhurst, obviously calling them Vilebloods and infidels, and basically, saying they were the enemies of the church, which gave them a great reason to actually go and kill them all. And they did that by sending a group of people called the Executioners, led by Logarius. And basically these guys are just the extremists of the Healing Church. They're I suppose you could say the ISIS, for lack of a better term, the people who did the Inquisition, the crazy fundamentalist maniacs who would do anything for the church because they just believe it, full on. And obviously, like I said, they were led by Logarius, who, after they actually destroyed the Cainhurst nobles and imprisoned the queen, who we're going to meet in a bit, he basically took the throne and the crown of the nobles, so that nobody else could actually see the secret of Cainhurst. Obviously the secret was that there's a special building housing the queen, and obviously he wanted to prevent anybody else from accessing it. Now, why he didn't just destroy the crown, I don't know. Maybe this is one of the things you can't destroy, or maybe he was afraid that there was another way to get to the queen. But either way, they could not kill the queen because she is, like the Pthumerian queen, an immortal. So they decided to imprison her and basically instead allow Logarius to sacrifice himself by standing guard from here till eternity, or as you can see, until I arrive and kick his ass. And at this point, the fight with Logarius is not very particularly difficult. As long as you've got beast blood pellets and bolt paper, you'll be fine. You don't really need to do too much against him. You can just keep wailing on the guy and it'll be done. Obviously I want to talk about now, go back a bit and talk about the origins of Cainhurst itself. Basically, the Cainhurst nobles are the descendants of the Pthumerians. As far as I'm concerned, there is lots of evidence to point to that. The fact that they have a queen who basically operates just like the Pthumerian queen, giving birth to a child of blood. The fact that their clothes, and if you look at the bell ringers, who are also Pthumerians, they wear very, very similar clothes. And of course, Annalise herself, who you meet in Yarnum, is somebody that also gives, can give birth to a child of blood. So what exactly happened? So I think that basically after the destruction of Pthumeria and the fall of their civilization, the remnants of their people became, moved from Yarnum to actually this, castle, which is probably a fort back in the days of, Pthumeria. Maybe this was their original palace, I don't know. But basically they moved there from, Yarnum, and basically, to a certain extent, I think, forgot their origins. I think, like a lot of families, that were noble. They forgot their roots, forgot what their actual purpose was, and then started living for pleasure. And if you actually read a lot of the item descriptions related to the Cainhurst nobles, you'll find that they're basically all about pleasure. Think of Cainhurst as ancient Rome. They're pretty much hedonists. When it comes to killing beasts, all they care about is basically going and making them into works of art. When they, drink blood, it's mostly for the pleasure of drinking blood, even though they're still interested in creating a child of blood for their queen. Unlike the Yarnamites, who do it for a large extent as a source of healing, for them it's all about the pleasure. Because as we know from the pungent blood cocktail description, the blood is intoxicating, and so they basically drink it for that reason. Now, of course, when the player character arrives, all that's gone. They've been all butchered, they're all dead, and the queen is actually trapped in a mask. Now the question is, I've always wondered, why is the queen in a mask? Why is she being trapped in that? Because she can still absorb blood dregs. If you join the Vilebloods covenant, you can still give her blood dregs, which in theory should allow her over time to produce a child of blood. So why the mask? Now that's really interesting. I think this more has to do with humiliation and embarrassment. I think that the reason she was locked in the mask by the Yarnamites is because they wanted to basically bring her down to the realm of a common criminal. They couldn't kill her. There's no point doing that because she would just come back to life again, because she is an immortal like the Cimmerian queen. So they instead decided to humiliate her by locking her into this mask. And she herself says she is a prisoner of this wretched mask. It doesn't seem to be affecting her negatively in any way. She still seems to be able to see the player character because she turns around. She turns her head as you move around, and also she can still imbibe blood, so that's not really a problem for her. Then the only other outstanding question is, why is it that the player character had a invitation to Cainhurst on their operating table in the Yusufka's clinic? When you go back to the clinic, you collect the extra Cainhurst summons, and you're able to use that to come here. So why is it that the player character has one? A lot of people think, and this is quite a strong theory I suppose, that the player character is a child of Cainhurst that was smuggled out, and that they use that as a reason to explain why the player character becomes a hunter, because he already has a special connection to the blood. Now personally I think that could be the case, but I'm not 100% sure myself. I'm one of those people that believes that the player character is in fact a sick person that came from the outskirts of Yharnam, or from a different town entirely, and was drawn to Yharnam because of the promise of this miracle cure that the blood provides. But I suppose both things could be true. You could also be, a baby that was smuggled out of Cainhurst and doesn't actually know what your true origins were. So I don't know, it's one of the things that's quite open at the moment. I need to think about it in more detail, really. So, okay, that's it for today, guys. Thanks again for watching. We're pretty much towards the end of our run. We've only got 2 episodes to go, really. And as usual, if you enjoyed the episode, leave a like and make a comment if you want to talk about something. And subscribe. Okay, cheers. Bye.